What's going on, bottom line viewers? It's Mitch here with AC. We are here to react and just recap the NFL Combine. We are here to do it live, so if you have any questions for us, make sure you leave them in the live comment section, or if you were unable to watch it live and you're on the rerun, come in here, ask your questions. I'll get to them in the comment section, but if you have any questions for myself or AC or both of us, let us know. We'll definitely answer your question about the combine, the draft, free agency, whatever's going on in your head. So we're going to just go through the combine kind of just all over the place, talking about the biggest winners, the losers, all the big stories, and then how that affects the entire landscape of the NFL draft. AC, overall, what did you think of the combine this year? I don't really know. Are you a fan of the combine? Anything that you thought was like the story of the combine, just your main thoughts?
You know what? I'm not a huge fan of the combine. We've seen so much in the past where, yes, it helps for guys to raise. Sorry, just one sec here. I had the stream start going on me.
Oh yeah, that happened.
No, I'm not a huge fan. I know it does help with those intangibles, but I would like to see them run in pads. Because we know guys,
with the football,
football, why not? Or sometimes without, because if you look at it, like, these guys can train so well technique to make their 40 look way better than it actually is on the field. Because we see in the NFL, we see guys that are like run 4, 5, 6s at the wide receiver position that are punt returners that are unbelievable because there's like smarts out there. You know what I mean? Like,
for example, Devin Hester. I think he only ran like a 4.4 something, but like if anybody saw him with the ball, he looked like he was 4.2
for sure.
You know?
And pads, right? So it just, because there was a lot of guys they were talking about in the DBs and the receivers how they were punt returners or kick returners in college, and they were only like 4, 5, 6, like no blazing speed, but they've shown that they can do that. I think the bench press is pretty key, and I do think the vertical, because that's just like leg power. I think that's actually probably more important than the 40, because the 40, a lot of these guys, all they'll do is just find like the little things. Like, technique is everything for the 40, and if you can pick up half a second here, millisecond there, just with technique. So I'm not the biggest
for the. I mean, it is for the bench press too. Trust me, like if you if one guy does the bench press more than the other guy, but they both work out the same, the guy that does the bench press more because he knows how to do it.
True.
Depending on the arm length and all that sort of stuff, the bench press is a lot of repetition as well. So I mean, I think the combine, personally, this is what I think the combine's for. I think the combine is personally overstated in terms of what it actually means to draft stock, what it actually means to the team's boards. I think that it means, okay, we're going to see, how does this guy look in person? A lot of these coaches, the Belichicks, the Petersons, these guys that have been coaching all year long, the scouts have been able to maybe look at them in person, but the actual head coaches, the coordinators, that sort of stuff, they haven't seen them. They don't know what their body looks like. They don't know, what their legs and ass look like, what their arms look like, all that sort of stuff. And then, I think it's more just about, okay, seeing a little certain things that they already saw on film, but they were just trying to reassure themselves of those things. And obviously, at the end of the day, the stuff that they saw on film, the way that people fit in their system is going to matter more than how fast you run, how much you bench press, all that sort of stuff. There are teams that like certain things, like certain teams draft more on the 40-yard dash, maybe certain teams draft more on the bench press, the 3-cone, certain things like that. But I think it is a little overstated in terms of the analysts talking about, oh, this guy is going to move up 10 spots because of how fast he runs or whatever,
Well, I think when it comes down to maybe those guys that were 5th, 6th round picks, maybe it bumps them up to 4th if they're faster than a guy that maybe looked it better on tape, but then didn't test well, because when you're between 4th, 5th, and 6th, those guys can move up a lot higher than if you're already projected 1st, 2nd, 3rd. So I could see in that aspect. And then I think the big storyline too of this combine was, it, like every year, is what guys don't do, what they want to do in pro day, which is a huge mistake in my opinion, because you don't have the head coach. You don't have the the GMs. You don't have like the main evaluators that actually make the decision if they're going to draft you or they don't. Because come pro days, they're going to have tons of scouts, maybe some head coaches, but at the combine, you have 32 coaches and general managers all watching you. You can't really say the same at a pro day where, yes, if you like the guy, you might send your coach, but mostly you'll just send your head scout or something like that to watch him again. So that's why the combine is huge, like you said, to see these guys in person, and obviously the interview process, which I think that's also bigger because get to know what people actually know, right? Because we've seen
what type of person they are too.
Yeah, true. And we've seen in the past too. I think quarterbacks, it's huge because a guy could have a good arm and just but be in a cookie cutter system. Are they actually smart enough if we do give them an NFL playbook? How are they going to know, or are they going to be able to learn or not? So that's huge as well.
Yeah, I think you made good points just about the pro day and like who goes to the pro day and all that sort of stuff. It's sort of rare that a head coach actually goes out to a pro day and is out there clocking the 40. So, yeah, I definitely think the combine is more about what you don't do or if you bomb it, than it is about how well you do. So we'll get into all that, the best 40s, the best bench press, our thoughts overall. Kevin Durkant is in the chat. He says, hi, how are you? What's going on, man? Love the support that you've been giving the channel. Always in the comment section. Really appreciate it. Killin' Boy's also in there. He says, how do you feel about the NFL restructuring the salary cap? They do it pretty much every year, so I don't really have a comment about it. I think the last time that it didn't really change was like 2011 or 2010. Like it's been a while since they actually didn't move the cap up from year to year. You could feel one way or another about it. I just think it makes NFL, I guess, more exciting. And if you're a guy that likes spending money in free agency, it's good for your team. So that's the way I feel about it. AC, any comments on that?
Yeah, like I thought it was actually going to be more than it was, but still $10 million for any team really helps you out, especially like the Eagles were $9 million over the cap. Now, obviously they don't have money to make moves, and that's why they're going to try to fiat more cap, but they're 10 million over the cap. All of a sudden the cap goes up 10 million. All of a sudden you're in the clear, but you have no money to work with. So but it does help us out a lot just because you need to be, you have to be at your cap when the new season technically starts in a week, like March 14th is
free agency.
Yeah. So you need to be cap friendly there. So it's good for the Eagles, but I thought it was going to be a bit more because people were talking like 20, but it was only 10, but still that's good for a lot of teams. And a lot of teams now have even more money than they did previous.
Michael says, Shaq Griffin, the best story in the combine. Definitely the best story. Let's just talk about Shaq Griffin. So this guy is a guy that, first off, obviously only has one hand. 2 arms, 1 hand. So basically he doesn't have, was it his left or his right hand?
I think it's his left.
Left hand. So yeah, it's basically like a club on 1 hand. And his normal hand. So it's a very interesting story. It's an awesome story because this guy, first off, wasn't even invited to the combine, then gets his invite to the combine, was on a team in college that surprised everybody this year and is sort of like an underdog story. And this guy extends that story to the combine where he runs a 4.38, I believe, on the 40-yard dash. He is considered an outside linebacker. So to do that as a linebacker is insane. I think that's the best run for a linebacker since like 03 or 04.
It was 06. And then, 06. Okay. But what I will say is, and even in the top 20 of linebacker times, if you look at the top 10 of speed, the only negative I'll say is if you look, there are a bunch of no names except for Julius Peppers. So
Julius Peppers is a freak.
No, 100%. But if you look at the top 10 fastest linebacker times, they're all no names, barely even made it in the league. So it's tough to say because speed, obviously you want a fast linebacker. But we've seen with the fastest combine linebacker time, the guys don't really have an NFL career. So
well,
I think
a lot of that has to do with his weight. He is only 227 pounds.
He's a safety, really.
Yeah, he's sort of like a safety body. He could be what I think he is, and I think somebody else also asked if he's a future Pro Bowler. I wouldn't go that far. I think he could be because this is a guy that, of course, was probably one of the best players on his team at Central Florida, but like also everybody says he's good. Like across the board, everybody says he's good. It's just a matter of having the two hands and the impact of not having another hand. Of course, he's been his whole life without it, but you're of course going to ask those questions about can he, tackle at these bigger guys in the NFL moving at the speed they are, or is he going to be able to tackle crisply and efficiently? And then I don't really worry about like the tipping the balls down or intercepting the ball because he's proven that he can do that even with one arm, but he doesn't really need to do that anyways. He's a linebacker. I worry about he's small. He's not really going to be a pass rusher, so he's probably going to have to be a middle linebacker. I think he's going to be like a dime linebacker where he's going to be like on third down. I think he could be like a cover guy. He's very athletic. He could cover the tight ends and all that stuff, the running backs. I think that's what he's going to be, and I think he could be good at that. So we'll see what happens with him, but that's kind of my first analysis on him. I'll be diving deeper into the linebackers, the off-the-line linebackers, so like middle linebackers, in my next video. I did outside linebackers. I just did a debate about the quarterbacks today. So check those videos out. But my next scouting report will be on these sort of linebackers. So I'll definitely be mentioning him in the video. He also had a 20 rep bench press, which for a guy with one arm, he used an artificial arm basically for his.
Well, it's a hand. Like he still has biceps.
Yeah. So, and I think his arm like extends up to like here basically. So it's like just the top of the hand. But even to do that is very impressive because you don't really work out that other arm. So 20 reps, he just blew up the combine with just such a great story. AC, I want to hear your opinion. I know you were a little bit more, not necessarily negative, but kind of skeptical about what this guy can do at the next level. So I want to hear about kind of your thoughts on Shaq Griffin and anything positive, negative about the combine.
Yeah, I think he is a great player. He proved that he can play. But obviously we have to look at his conference he played in. It's not like they're playing against Alabama and Florida State every week. He was really good and he looks good. My only issue is I think he's undersized for a linebacker. He needs to gain some weight, which I think he probably will. A big knock on him, which I think will hurt him, is he has a hard time getting off blocks. So, if you can get to the second level in a running game, if an offensive lineman just locks him up, he's going to be hard to get off the ball like that. I just think, yes, it's a great story, but I still see him as a 5th, 6th, 7th rounder. You know what I mean? That maybe could help you. Maybe that could be a steal. But I do think he's kind of in between positions. I think he needs to bulk up a lot more to play linebacker. And it's tough because, scouts, in my opinion, yes, he put up some good times, but they're going to have to dig way deeper and be like, can this guy play in the NFL? Because, this might sound a bit ruthless. Scouts don't care about the feel-good stories, If anything, those feel-good stories are a distraction when it comes to training camp. Because if this guy comes into anywhere, everyone's going to be, if he doesn't play, his expectation, even if he gets drafted in the 5th, 6th round, expectations are going to be huge for this guy. Because, you're the team that drafted the guy that is an NFL player that doesn't have a hand. And all of a sudden, he's getting all this media attention and he's just, a backup linebacker. I think you have to tread lightly if you're a team to draft this guy, in my opinion. But hopefully everything works out. It'd be an unbelievable story. I'm just still, from an NFL scout perspective, you don't draft on nice stories. So he does show that he can play, but I still think there's a lot of other better linebackers in this draft. And also, I just don't know if he's big enough to play linebacker. I can't hear you. Yo, you're gone. You're muted.
I muted myself?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I think that we're all rooting for him, so we'll see what happens. Hopefully he does well, but I definitely see where you're coming from, AC. I kind of, until I really watch enough film on him to really say one way or the other, I can't really like totally back it up. But my first initial impression is that I think that more than anything, he was kind of slighted in a way. I think that he's a good player that I feel like people have already started to say. That's the reason he wasn't invited to the combine, because people thought he wasn't good enough to be in that conversation. But I think he's like, people are now starting to take into account that, yeah, this guy was actually good, and we're not going to count him out just because he has one hand, you know? So we'll see. We'll see. I'm leaving it up for debate right now. But Orlando Brown has also been brought up in the comments section by Kevin Durkant. Talk about a guy that was a loser at the NFL Combine. Okay, this guy ran a 5.85, which I think my grandma could run faster than that. 14 reps in the bench press, and he is how heavy? 360 pounds, dude. 6'8", and you can only bench 14 times, bro. Come on. This is a guy that totally failed in every regard in the combine. And I know there's been guys that have been awesome at the combine, or awesome at the combine that have been crap. And there's been guys that have been crap at the combine, like, for example, Terrell Suggs, who has been amazing in the NFL. So it can go both ways. But AC, what did you think of Orlando Brown's performance? And to me, the number one thing about it is it shows that he was too lazy to work out and work to improve himself in these categories. That's what it tells me more than anything. I don't overly care that he's slow, because he is an offensive tackle, but at the same thing, I just think like that just shows that you're lazy and you're not willing to work to get better and work to do something that will help you. And that's just effort at the next level. You need effort to be a good player in the NFL.
Yeah, it's in his circumstance. It's funny because we have a guy like Shaq Griffin that's going to fall because he only has one hand and there's some skepticism. But here's a guy that probably was super lazy, but before the combine was one of the top linemen in the draft, right? So he'll probably maybe fall to the second or third round now, and people will still take a chance more so on him than Shaq Griffin. But if you do turn on his tape, he does look pretty damn impressive. So it's tough, but these numbers were even if they were like mediocre, but for how bad they were, it definitely is going to hurt him, but he's still a top 10, you could say, lineman in this draft. So I still think he goes, like, because there was talk before this, he would go in the first round.
Yeah, so he's a projected first round tackle.
Yeah, this drops him, but probably still it only drops him like around second or third. And regardless, and I totally agree with you. It seems like he's lazy, but teams always, I feel like the guys with bad stories get drafted way more than just the good stories. You know what I mean? Because at the end of the day, the guys with bad stories just seem like they're athletic freaks. Obviously, on paper, it didn't show he was, but if you put on the tape, he is an unbelievable tackle. And especially playing with Baker Mayfield, who's running around, and you're still, it's very hard to block for a quarterback like that. And he did successfully. It's interesting to see how far he goes down, because I don't think very much. I think like at worst he's taken at the end of the second round.
Okay. We had another comment. Patriots in Patriots land. Patriots need to draft a corner. And this is where I'm gonna say it. I'm on the train. I'm on the Patriots need to get Lamar Jackson bandwagon. I said this to AC. I said this to the Twitter chat. People know by now, if you've watched my video, I have Lamar Jackson as probably the best quarterback in the draft. It's him or Josh Allen, in my opinion. It's like 1A, 1B. It's very close. Like, it flips every day. It might be Josh Allen at the end of the day, but I think that Lamar Jackson, I think that, first off, the Patriots they're in a situation where they need a future quarterback. And I know that a lot of Patriots fans are going to immediately say that that's a stupid move because the Patriots don't need a quarterback right now and they should focus on helping the team right now. But if you think that one of these 5 quarterbacks, or even more than that, is a guy that can help your team in the future and can be, you know, a future star in the NFL, I think it's worth taking the chance, especially a guy like Lamar Jackson, who is supposed to fall, like it's supposed to be at the end of the first, like second round. Some people, you know, I've seen weird mock drafts. Like I've seen him go in like the top 10. I've seen him go in like the second round. So it really depends. But with Lamar Jackson, I think this is a guy that already played in the Patriots system in college. He is the best running quarterback I've seen since Michael Vick. It's no doubt. Like the guy is special. He has, you know, really good talent from it within the pocket. I think he can be like peak Mike Vick, like better than him. I think he could be like a great passer too. I think he's very overlooked. And just in regards to the whole talk about him being a receiver, I just think it's absolutely ridiculous because like if you actually watch this guy play in college, what tells you that he should be a receiver? He zips the ball. Like he has the second strongest arm of anybody in this draft. He is not the most accurate quarterback in the draft, but it's not like he is terrible. Like he doesn't have terrible accuracy. He's able to throw the ball everywhere on the field. He escapes pressure. He's not small. Like I don't understand the wide receiver conversation. AC, I know you're not a Patriots fan, and I know that you don't want to see Lamar Jackson go to the Patriots unless you think he sucks.
I could care less. I actually rather see him because it's not like, you know, if you think Lamar Jackson's going to be Mike Vick, then Patriots are going to stay the Patriots. But if Lamar Jackson isn't even close to Mike Vick, then he's no Tom Brady, and you're rebuilding for a long time. I don't really care. Like, yeah, take him. I don't know.
No. That wasn't the question I was going to ask. I'm just asking, what do you think of this receiver talk? I don't know how much like film you've seen of.
I watched him like live a lot. Like I
watched him like in the past couple of years. But
yeah, like, no, I think he's talented. I think he can be. I think he's better than Rosen or Darnold. I think, like, let's just talk about the quarterbacks. I think Rosen and Darnold are so overrated and are not franchised. Maybe they're going to be like at max. I think their peak is like Andy Dalton's good years, which is only like one or two of them. You know what I mean? Yeah. At his peak, where you know,
I compare Rosen to Mike Glennon.
Yeah. No, I think
Darnold,
he could be a very good.
I'm not completely like off Darnold. Like actually watching him more, I initially had him like last out of the 5, but then after watching him more, I think he can be like Pro Bowler material, but I don't know if he could be any more than like that's his peak. Like I don't think he could be a top 5 QB like consistently. Like I think he could be a Pro Bowler, but the top 3 to me, I think is Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield.
No, I agree. And then it's just, what do you want to do if you're the teams that need a quarterback, right, in those first? Because I do think it's tough because besides Josh Allen, in my opinion, I don't think those quarterbacks warrant a top 6 pick. You know what I mean? Like, that's why the Patriots might be able to get. That's why I think, or maybe even trade down like maybe 5 or 6 spots to get. I don't think these quarterbacks deserve top 5. I really don't.
I think the only quarterback that I would consider taking in the top 5 is Josh Allen.
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I said. Besides Allen.
Because I think that he could be like the best quarterback in the league at one point. He has that potential.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I also think Lamar Jackson will be in that conversation, but I don't think enough teams have the infrastructure and the systems to put him in place to like, unless you're very confident. Like I think if Lamar Jackson goes to a team with a coordinator even, or like an offense or a team that's willing to sort of fit what he can do best, then he has the absolute, he could be unreal. But it's just a matter of that more.
I would say in that first round, the only ones that maybe would take a QB, even though that their value probably isn't that high, would be the Cardinals or the Broncos. Just because the Jets, do you really want to take a quarterback when you have so many more needs at that 5th, 6th pick? You know what I mean? Like all these teams like the Browns.
Well, I think they're going to take like a corner or something.
No, yeah, you have so many needs. It's tough to
but quarterback, if you hit on your quarterback, then you hit on your quarterback, you know?
Yeah, and if you're confident that you're going to hit, but you better be confident that you're going to hit. Because look at the Cleveland Browns should have drafted.
Anybody can be a bust.
No, but I know. But the Cleveland bet, like, obviously it's early, and I think the only way Carson Wentz doesn't have a good career is if he's injury prone, not his play on the field. But if you look at it, the Browns were not confident in Carson Wentz and didn't pull the trigger. And obviously they got a little back, but not as much as you think. Like for who they drafted in those spots. So like I think they drafted Jabril Peppers with one of the picks that we traded them. So it's like it's tough because you don't want to be the team that doesn't take the quarterback and then him come back. But you've seen quarterbacks in the first round. I don't know. I think there's so many. We're talking about so many that there's not a clear-cut favorite. It's very skeptical for me. I'm very skeptical to see what these guys do.
I think there should be. This is tough. I think there's going to be 4 or 5 quarterbacks in the first round. I think there should be 4. There should be 4, maybe 3. Like for sure there should be 3.
Yeah, for sure there's going to be 3. Potentially 5, but I think maybe you see guys trading up. I just think there's so many other good positions that I don't know. Like, I think you get better value.
This is a pretty strong quarterback class, though. Like in regards to the last couple of years, I think it is. Yeah,
where there's normally only 1 or 2 or 3. Yeah. You know what I mean? That you're super confident about. But even though, like the same, like if someone falls out, like look at some of these late round first quarterback picks. You know what I mean? That were 4 or 5 in quarterbacks, like Paxton Lynch. You know what I mean? He was taken in the first round.
Yeah, exactly. So that's probably why there is going to be 4 or 5 because these guys were touted at like to be first round picks regardless. Those guys kind of rose because of a number of factors, right?
Yeah. No, we'll see. I just don't. I'm not sold on any of these guys really coming in and playing well their first year.
We'll see. It's rare that a guy comes in and is like a superstar. There's been guys that can lead a team to the playoffs with a there's been the Joe Flacco's who already had a infrastructure where his team was so good that he didn't have to do much. There was Matt Ryan where he got kind of a team that was extremely underrated the year before because that was Michael Vick's team. And then they sort of just sold out to get Matt Ryan. And then there was like, who else? Andrew Luck was a rare case because he was kind of a surefire prospect. And that's another case where they sold out. They were in the playoffs before with Peyton Manning. They sold out and they totally just ruined their entire team that year just to get Andrew Luck. Like there's cases where a guy could take the team to the first year playoffs, but I don't think like as long as I don't know. I think that there's a few quarterbacks that I do have confidence in this draft, but
saying that the teams that need a quarterback that are going to draft a quarterback, are you 100? Like how sold are you on the rest of their team? Right, that's the problem.
I just think that
we're not seeing those playoff teams all of a sudden need a quarterback and all of a sudden switch gears and then pick a rookie. And those are normally the teams that are more complete that we see rookie quarterbacks succeed with. I think you could say Houston in a way. Obviously, they had somewhat of a down year the year before, but they still had everything in place. They had some. They just signed Lamar Miller, and then they had some good receivers as well. And then you put a rookie quarterback, and look how well he succeeds. Right. I just don't see what if he goes to the Browns. I actually think the Browns with all their picks could get better in a quick, like in a hurry. I still think the Browns go. We haven't talked about Barkley. Barkley, surefire. I know running backs have only got picked like twice in the last 30 years with the first overall pick. The Browns would be crazy not to draft Barkley over one of these quarterbacks. And you can still get a quarterback with number 4 if you want. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think that the quarterback is just such an important position, and that's maybe where we differ. Is I just think if you're confident, and you're going to be because you're a scout in the NFL, you should be confident in your skills.
If you have 3 second-round picks, would you rather have
not the Browns? I'm not talking about the
Browns.
No,
I'm saying, but would you rather have
Browns have 2 top 4 overall picks. That's a different story.
No, I know. But I'm saying, but with their second, if you can get an unbelievable defensive player at 4 and Saquon Barkley at 1, and you have 3 second-round picks, and you trade the middle one, which is like 40, the Houston Texans pick, in the second round, and you trade for Nick Foles instead of getting one of those star defensive players and drafting Rosen instead, what do you do? What do you like for quarterback wise? Would you rather use one of those second and have Foles for the next 2-3 years, and then
I'd rather try for the quarterback,
and then lose out on the stud defensive player as well?
What? But you're counting out the fact that the quarterback could be a stud.
Yeah, I know.
You're not taking that into account when discussing it. You're assuming that he's a bust.
I'm not assuming who is a bust. I'm saying the chances that the stud defensive player is going to be more consistent, has a better chance of working out than these quarterbacks. That's fair to say.
That's fine. But I also can say that the Browns were like 3rd in rush defense last year, and it didn't really impact their defense very much. And Myles Garrett didn't play as much as you would want. Plus, they already have a good defensive line.
But they're weak in the secondary, because I was talking Fitzpatrick.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
it's the next you Jamal can find Adams type thing.
I'd rather try and get one of these quarterbacks on one of those picks, probably the 4th pick, and then go, because you're looking at this order. The Giants aren't taking a quarterback, like 90% sure, because Eli is going to be there for the next couple of years, and they're a bunch of idiots. Number 3, the Colts aren't taking a quarterback, so you might as well take your first pick of the quarterbacks at number 4. Yeah. So let's say they take Barkley, who we'll talk about in just a second, and then you get the quarterback at number 4. Your first pick of any of the quarterbacks, if we're talking about the realism of the Colts or the Giants taking a quarterback. It depends who apparently they like Baker Mayfield. I would probably pick Josh Allen. And then you have number 5 is the Broncos. They could take another quarterback. Like if you're the Broncos. If you're the Broncos, who do you take at number 5?
You either take a quarterback or you take Nelson, the guard from Notre Dame.
You think so?
He's going to be an all-star. Like, obviously, it's pretty high to take a guard, but they need offensive line help regardless. They should take a quarterback, depending on what happens in free agency. But I'm just saying, if they don't take a quarterback, they need offensive line help.
Oh, that's true.
Big time.
That's true. But, yeah. The Jets could also take a quarterback. So, like, you're talking about the Broncos, the Jets could take a quarterback. The Bucs won't. Bucs definitely could benefit from a large run of quarterbacks because they need defense and a running back.
Okay, then if we're saying that, if Giants aren't taking, if Barkley's gone and Giants and Colts, that means probably Chubb or defensive players, Chubb or Fitzpatrick it goes 2-3 or something like that.
If I had to guess, the Giants could take the guard there.
Yeah.
They need offensive line. They would definitely take Barkley, I think, if he didn't go at number 1.
Yeah.
I don't think they'll take a quarterback, but who knows? They could take defense. They could take a corner, a safety. They could take a D lineman. I don't know, man.
But there's the Giants. Point. There's going to be so let's look. Teams that need quarterback: Browns, Jets, Broncos, Cards. So just even those 4 teams.
Cards.
Even just those 4 teams, though, 2 will have a veteran easily could play and start next year by the time the draft comes around, in my opinion. 2 of the 4.
Yeah. But are you happy having that veteran though? Well, consider the veterans on the market.
But are you thinking if that's what I'm saying? I'm not confident that these quarterbacks are going to be a Carson Wentz, are going to be an Andrew Luck, are going to be a Matt Ryan. I'm not confident in that. And that's my opinion. And that's why I'm thinking if you're a team, someone on the rebuild, you need a veteran quarterback, you need some younger players, and then look at the quarterbacks down the road when you get to that, when that time comes.
I guess I'm a little bit more thinking about, I guess, 1, I'm a little bit more confident in the quarterbacks. But number 2, I also think that you should draft the quarterback because that can completely change your franchise. If you draft a corner, you could be stuck, just random position. If you draft a corner, a D lineman, whatever, you could be just stuck in the same place you're stuck at. Like, that's why last year, even though it was a ridiculous trade or whatever that the Bears made, and it was pretty stupid because they could have picked a quarterback anyways, like, I respected them for doing that because they picked their quarterback that they thought was good. Like, they shot their shot, and that's what if you're in the top 10, you're there for a reason. So I think that you need a quarterback most of the time. But it is interesting that, like, probably only 3 of these teams need a quarterback in the top 10. Because other than that, Tampa Bay doesn't need one. Bears don't need one. 49ers certainly don't need one. Raiders don't need one. So you have all those teams. And then you talk about 11 to 20. Dolphins could, I don't think so, but I mean, there's an outside shot of them taking one. They have a lot of different positions that they need. 12, they won't take one, the Bengals. 13, they won't take one, Redskins. 14, Packers certainly won't take one. Cardinals, so Cardinals at 15. Ravens at 16. I mean, they probably could use one, but they definitely won't take one. Chargers could probably pick one there. There's a chance. Seahawks, no. Cowboys, no. Lions, no. So how many teams is that? 5 so far? 21. Bills, yes, they could take one. So that's 6. Panthers, Titans, no. Falcons, no. Saints, no. Steelers maybe, but probably not. Jaguars could definitely use one, but who knows? So we'll add the Jaguars there. So 7. Vikings, no.
Those teams that are further on, though, they feel like they're a bit closer that they
would probably take a different position.
They take a player.
But the interesting thing about that is we've seen just this past year that teams that are close, like the Chiefs, the Texans, whatever, have felt like they needed a quarterback. So
I'm actually more confident that obviously they already have lower expectations, but I'm more confident in Rudolph and Falk from Washington State to be better quarterbacks in the NFL or have a chance to be just as good as some of those other guys. That's my opinion. And that's just saying how I think it's a little more even from those guys that are like the 6th, 7th best quarterback than we think of these top 5.
I disagree when it comes to this top 3.
Top 3. I've watched Falk play a lot because he was in a pro style offense, big arm at Washington State. He looked more like in the most pro style. I guess Rosen and Darnold did a bit, but I just still didn't like the inconsistency of those guys. Yeah, we'll see. I'm just not sold on, like, I think it's very hard to say, like, some years. It's like when Matt Ryan was playing or Andrew Luck. You looked at those guys and be like, whoa, those guys are franchise players. I don't think we look at these 5 guys personally and look at it like those guys we said were franchise players that end up being franchise players. That's why I'm not confident in saying that, because I've seen how we say that to those players, and those players I don't think remind me of these guys.
Okay, we have a question. I think you might be able to answer this better than me. Who is better, Isaiah Oliver or Jaire Alexander?
I like Jaire Alexander because he's the guy from LSU, I believe. He was the guy who's trying to break Ross's record, which doesn't mean. I think corners speed is huge out of some of the other positions. The other guy, I'm pretty sure goes to Colorado.
I know him a little bit better. He's, reading off the NFL.com, I know that he's good in press coverage. I haven't watched the guy yet very much, but I know the guy's like a good press coverage, kind of aggressive corner. According to NFL.com, he's, a guy with size, speed, length. He has all the NFL traits.
Oh, Alexander's from Louisville, sorry.
So, yeah, Oliver is kind of like a prototype more, and I guess, Alexander is kind of more of the NFL guy. But I think both of them did impress at the combine. So that's interesting.
What's that guy's name I'm thinking of that I said instead? Is his last name Jackson too?
Yes, there's a Josh Jackson.
Oh, it's Josh Jackson. Sorry. Okay.
Yes. Josh Jackson, I think, is the number 1 corner.
Yeah, and I was going to say about Josh Jackson is that he's buddies with
he's number 2 or something.
The Green Goblin.
All right.
Jalen Mills.
What's next? White guys are the best, says Marcos. Talvin Smith is 215 and Deion Jones is 220, says Kevin Durkant.
Oh, wait, and my only thing with them is, and Mitch, you know this, with Talvin Smith and Deion Jones, like, what's one of their biggest advantages being kind of smaller? Speed and what? Ball skills. Deion Jones is a pick machine. Talvin Smith picking those balls up. You know what I mean? That's what sets those guys apart. And
plus, they don't look 215.
No, but even if they're that size, they're still ball skill type linebackers. You know what I mean? And what's easier to do with ball skills? Having two hands. No, I'm just saying, like, if we're going to compare those guys, I'm not going to compare those guys because those guys are ball skill, ball hawk type linebackers that fly around and use their hands. That helps smaller linebackers. If you're going to be a smaller linebacker, you better find something to do to put you above, and being good with your hands is a key.
Kevin Durkant says, I wouldn't take a chance on Brown. Sure, he's playing good in college, yet imagine him versus Mac, Vaughn, Miller, Boza, Watt, Cam, Jordan, and those guys. Well, any rookie is going to struggle against those guys.
Yeah. But at second round, like, there weren't a lot of good rookie linemen this year as we expected there would be, right? Like, Ramczyk struggled with the Saints. Yes, he started, but he wasn't that great for a lot of the season.
I don't remember how many, like, offensive linemen were taken high. Like, I don't remember many. I feel like it's getting less and less every year. And this is another year where, especially the tackles, not very good. Guards, pretty good overall.
Oh, no. And I think last year is more like the teams that normally get O-line help are those second half teams, right? Because they're already... Let's see if I can find the draft, because that's an interesting question. Because I think there was a few, but I think they went later in the first round.
Training Solutions says, same. LJ is very underrated. Kevin Durkant says he feels bad for Jackson. He keeps getting criticized for no reason to become a wide receiver. Like, what the fuck? Training Solutions says, I don't know why he is being regarded as he isn't being regarded as a top quarterback. And Kevin Durkant says what everybody is thinking. What else here? Rosen says, or Kevin Durkant says, Rosen doesn't have enough deep arm strength. Those safeties would kill him. I just think he was overall overrated. Like, I watched him and I was just like, I don't understand this. Like, I don't understand. Like, AC, do you get the same thing? We're talking about Rosen again. I watched this guy and I was just like, I don't understand the hype. Like, he's a good, like, he's polished, like, he's good in drop back pass game, but he's like a wooden statue in the pocket. Like, he can't move. He can't escape from anybody. He gets sacked. He doesn't see rushers coming, and then he makes stupid decisions. And like, he has a pretty good arm, but like, it's not great. Like, what do you take away from Rosen? I just don't get the hype for me. I don't know if it's the name or because we've been talking about him for 3 years. Like, I just don't understand it.
Yeah, I don't see the hype. Same with Darnold. I think playing in California and being a quarterback like that, there's a lot that comes with that, which I think a lot more people, and obviously it's how they play on the field, but I think a little bit is, he's USC, he's UCLA, right? We see, there's been a good run of California quarterbacks. Probably more so Cal has been beating them as of late, obviously with Rodgers and with Goff. But yeah, I watched Rosen. I don't know. He seems there's something with leadership too. He seems too quiet for me. He seems he couldn't command a huddle, in my opinion. But
he's also supposed to be a dick.
Yeah, which doesn't help.
What do we think about Vander? What is it? Vander Esch? Vander, whatever the hell you say his name. Esch? I don't know what the hell. The white dude, the linebacker. What do we think of him? Do we think he's gonna go in the top 25? I think he's gonna go in the top 25.
He's Boise State?
He is Boise State, yeah.
I'd have to. I couldn't think of him on the top of my head.
4.65. That's decent. How big is he? 256.
I have seen him in the first round of a lot of mock drafts. That's the only thing that comes to mind. So, yeah. If you believe that, which they're normally pretty good.
I've seen he's pretty strong. Like from what I've watched of him, he's pretty strong. He's good against the run. Like he breaks through the hole and makes big plays. Linebacker? Yeah, he's like an inside linebacker. Yeah. He's big though.
Well, no, because I got to look at more linebackers because I really like Evans from Alabama, and I've seen a lot of mock drafts with the Eagles taking him.
Yeah, so NFL.com kind of has him as like an every down linebacker with very good starting potential. He fills up the stat sheet. He's instinctive. That's kind of what I got from what I've seen so far. Yeah, he's really strong. He's just a big. It's rare that he's like a big dude. Like he's almost like a Dante Hightower sort of. He's like a big dude that plays inside. So that's interesting. And he ran pretty well for his size. So I definitely think he's going to be up there. Who was the guy that I really was impressed by when I watched him at the combine? I already scouted him for one of the videos. Lorenzo Carter from Georgia. I think he's starting to get some like first round buzz. He was sort of like a second rounder before, but he had a really good combine. I just think he's a really good player. I don't know. Have you seen anything on him? He's from Georgia, so.
No.
He's just like he's like sort of a freak though, because he's like 6'6", but he like could play inside too. Like he's a good cover linebacker, but he also rushes the pass. Like he's very versatile. I think he could be a good find. Early second, late first too. That's a guy that sort of impressed me.
Even that, I guess we go into like defensive end and rushers. Like Bradley Chubb still had a great workout, similar to maybe not as good as what Garrett did last year, but still good enough to be like, yeah, you're the top defensive end easily.
I will say this about him though, like I feel like he's not as good as Myles Garrett was coming out. Like
no, not at all. But I just think I've said this as well, is I don't think this whole draft class is good as a whole. Yeah. Like you could say maybe the quarterbacks are getting that play more so than other years. I just don't think this draft from, first round to seventh round is as good as last year was. I thought last year there was a lot of good players.
There was. I think part of that is
defensively.
Part of that is athletically. Like not many players. Like there's probably like under 20 players in this draft that like athletically, like freak wise, they don't like stand out.
Yeah.
There's just like a lot of football players, but there's not like last year you had a lot of just guys that were just ridiculous athletes. So I don't know, maybe that's the difference, but I agree. This is not one of the stronger draft classes, but maybe that's also why quarterbacks are being talked up more, because there aren't as many like great players. So I don't know. Tommy says, "What's up to everybody? What's up to everybody has ever doing here today?" All right, that makes no sense. Blake says, "I agree. Take Nelson if he's there." So I don't know if he's talking about the Giants. He's talking about somebody.
It was either the Broncos or the
Broncos. It could be the Broncos. Elway doesn't want a rookie. He'll pick up Keenum. I don't know. I especially think that if Josh Allen is there, Denver will take him. But if not, I could see definitely Case Keenum. He does like Case Keenum. So Kirk won't go. Yeah, Kirk is between the Jets and the Vikings, and I'm pretty sure he's going to the Vikings. What do you think about that, AC?
Yeah, they need to do it. And then it's just like his money now. If they're saying it's a 3-year deal at $90 million, that's huge. Because I don't know how the Jets can offer that much more. If they can maybe offer $10 million a year, but now it's getting up to the point where I thought the Vikings would only be able to offer like 20 or something like that, or even 25. So now you're up in the pot to $5 million extra, and it puts the Vikings as easily one of the better, like, top 1-2, right up there with the Eagles. If not, you could maybe even say better next year. Because they only have a small window, because they're going to have to start paying some really good players on that defense. So they need to win now, and getting Cousins is interesting. And like I said before in another video, it would be awesome to see the Vikings come into
Philadelphia,
the link and play that first Thursday night game of the year.
You think that will happen?
I think it's if Kirk goes to the Vikings, because out of all the games, there are some good matchups. It could be Atlanta too, but I think why not go Vikings? Vikings fans.
I would say I don't know if the NFL will.
Yeah. We'll see. Yeah, because like Vikings fans were so pissed.
You know what? I love it.
Oh, your audio is just a little off. But the thing with Vikings fans is they got so choked that we just kicked their ass in the NFC Championship, and then go into their hometown, their own backyard, and then win the Super Bowl there. It was very entertaining. And all of a sudden, like, Vikings fans hate Eagles. It's like, you know, it's funny how sports works. It's like you play a team once and have a bad experience, and all of a sudden you're rivals for the next 5 years. Where was Mitch? Where was Mitch? Oh yeah, he was Kirk. Always, Kirk won't go to Devil. He'll go to the Jets. Yeah, he could go to the Jets. I think a part of me wants him to go to Jets because I don't want him in the NFC East or NFC, and it would be funny to have him in the AFC East. Because
crap! I joined on the wrong account. I gotta go out again. But I was just gonna say, comment on it. Let me know what you think. Think about it. What would you think about the Cowboys week 1 against the Eagles? I'd love that.
I'd like it. Game on. I think it wouldn't be as it would be entertaining, I guess, but I think it'd be more entertaining against the Vikings. The Giants. Who cares about the Giants? I mean the Cowboys. Who cares about the Cowboys? Did anyone hear the Bills have an offer for Foles? Yeah, I did hear that. It might be a little too high because it's their second-round pick, so I think it's like 50th overall or 52nd overall or something like that. Because I think they're 20th, so that would equate to around 50. I still think the Eagles are going to try to hold out for one of those teams that need a quarterback. I still think that's a good offer. The Eagles definitely should take a second-round pick, but I do think they're holding out to maybe get. Obviously, I don't think they're going to get a first pick, but we talked about this. Is the Eagles put it out there like they want a first pick because then someone comes in with a very high second, like a 33 to 45 type second round pick, like an early second round pick, and then they'll take that. I think they're just waiting. But if that is the first offer from Buffalo, I don't mind it. I think they easily could go back and take that deal because that's still, a middle second round pick, which is huge. And if you're the Eagles, you're losing some guys that if you can pick up those guys in the first and second round to go in and, I hope we bring Bradham back, but obviously we might still need a D-line. We need maybe a third corner, which we might not need. Another guard would be nice. So it's interesting.
You talking about Foles?
Yeah, I was just saying that it was so it got offered and it was like a 52, right? So they're the 20th overall pick in the second round, which would be like 52nd overall or something like that.
Yeah,
I think that's a good place to start because I do think when things start moving, you have that, and I think they could go back to that if they don't get anything. But I have a feeling that they're going to get a little something more, maybe like a 10 picks higher, added in with a 5th round pick or something.
Kirk Cousins tweeted, "Next week is now officially the first time since 2007 I'll be choosing where to play. Open to suggestions." So if you have suggestions for Kirk Cousins, go put him in his Twitter. Let him know where you want him to play. There you go. Okay, so there's a couple questions here. First off, have the Giants ever had a elite running back? Well, I would say that Tiki Barber was pretty elite. Also in the 80s, they didn't have like the elite running backs, but like they had sort of a very good group of running backs when they won those Super Bowls that were pretty solid. Brandon Jacobs for a year or two was pretty good too. What else we got here? What happened to Ron Harper with the Panthers? I have no idea what happened. I think he just got cut. Roman Harper, do you mean? Or I don't know. You mean Roman Harper? I'm not sure. What about Evans from Alabama? You said you like him a lot. What's your thoughts on him?
He's an Alabama linebacker that we've seen. Obviously Hightower being one of them. Hopefully he still plays and figures his shit out. But like a Reuben Foster, he is tenacious, gets the ball quick laterally, makes tackles. And comes from Alabama. I think it's hard not to like those Alabama linebackers because we've seen so many of them be successful every year.
All right, let's talk about Barkley. There was a comment by Ricky that says, Barkley reminds me of McCaffrey. I don't think he can handle the rock 20 times a game. Okay, let's talk about Mr. Barkley here. Barkley ran. Oh, wait. What was he? He ran. Where is he? A 4-4. I'm trying to find him. Where is he? Do you know what he ran? Let me look him up.
4-4 something. 4-4-1. Something like that.
Saquon. Okay. Saquon ran a 4-4 flat. 29 reps on the bench press, 41-inch vert, a 4-2-4 20-yard shuttle. So, this guy, to me, I know. Okay, so I saw Chris Sims today. Your buddy Chris Sims there, AC. He said that Saquon Barkley is like the best running back he's seen on film in like a long time. Like one of the best he's ever seen. So what I can say about him, I definitely think he can carry the ball 20 times. So I'll answer that question. I think he is better than Zeke coming out of the draft. So that definitely means he's better than Fournette. I think this guy is like, I think his most comparable player to me is like David Johnson with hype. Like he's like David Johnson, but I think he's a little bit quicker.
Yeah, stronger, faster, like just a bit better.
Like he's a little bit better, David Johnson. A little bit. I think the main difference is he's a little bit quicker, like laterally. Like I think David Johnson's obviously a great receiver. Both of them can do that. Barkley's extremely impressive as a receiver, like route running, everything. He runs every route. He runs as if he's a receiver. So you have that. Plus, you have his ability to, run past through people. He's faster than Zeke, and we watch Zeke and we say how fast he is compared to other elite running backs. Like, how much faster has Zeke been compared to Le'Veon Bell in the open field, even a David Johnson, or some of these guys? Like, Zeke looks fast in the open field. Saquon Barkley is faster in a 40-yard dash. He's just built to be a running back. Like, he's a modern-day running back. I think he's a surefire prospect. Obviously, AC says he should go number 1. You guys know me. I never like taking running backs high. I don't like running backs, but Saquon Barkley is a beast, and he should be treated as so. I think he's the best guy to come out in a while. So,
you know what the biggest difference between him and Zeke is he went to Penn State. He has a very good head on his shoulders that I think that we haven't seen a lot with these
Ohio State
or what we've seen with these all-star players that think they're better. You know what I mean? That like have that, he has that confidence, but he's well-rounded. You know what I mean? He's from Pennsylvania, goes to Penn State. Like obviously they've had some issues, kind of non-football related, but the players that come out of there, it's Penn State. They build players for the next level, not just in football, but in life. And I think a guy like that with a good head on his shoulders could be unstoppable. And I think that the Browns have just have to take him. And I'm also saying that because I don't want the Giants to take him.
Breaking news, Chris Ivory signed with the Bills. Yeah, I heard about that. How do we feel? Well, I definitely think that they needed a backup for LeSean McCoy, so Chris Ivory can definitely come in, and whether he's the same player he was a couple of years ago, I don't think he's quite the same, but he can give a different change of pace, kind of a strong power runner near the goal line especially would help out, but I think he's just sort of a change of pace for LeSean McCoy, a guy that can come in and for a game or two can be a starting running back. So I think, Ivory is a decent signing for the Bills, but they definitely needed help at the backup position this year. So. Any thoughts on that at all, AC? No?
Yeah, no, it's still LaShawn's show. Like, LaShawn is not underrated, but if you look at his stats, like, there's been a lot of running backs come and go since he's been a very good number one in this league. A lot of running backs have come and go, and his name's always there. There's a lot of great running backs that move up, but he's always somewhere in that top 5, regardless of who else is in that top 5, which I think is interesting. And obviously him getting drafted by the Eagles, I get to watch a lot of them, and I enjoy. I've always enjoyed LaShawn. He's one of my favorite running back, non-Philadelphia Eagles running backs for sure.
Killing Boys asks Mitch, how do you feel about Preston Brown? Preston Brown's rumored to go to the Patriots because he said he wants to play there. He said he would improve their defense. That's what he actually said. Nice. So for Preston Brown,
there's no way he's gonna get drafted. Then some kids saying that.
No, Preston Brown for Buffalo.
Oh yeah.
So Preston Brown was actually the leading tackler in the NFL.
Yeah, he was good. I read that. I saw that.
He's a good player. I think the thing about Preston Brown is he is the same linebacker as Dante Hightower, sort of. He's just sort of a worse version. Can't really rush the passer as much. But I think the thing about him is he always kind of flashes when they play the Bills. So maybe Belichick, he loves his Bills players. He always signs one every year. So it could be him this year. The thing about him is I think the Patriots need more speed, and he's not necessarily like a speed guy. So that'd be the one flaw in him signing with the team. But obviously the Patriots need more linebackers. They need depth. They need everything. He would instantly be a starter for them. He would be a nice pairing with Hightower because both of them are big. Both of them can tackle. So it definitely bring like a different sort of edge to the team. I like him as a player. I just think he doesn't necessarily fit the need 100% in terms. He is not a very fast player, a linebacker, but he is a solid all-around good linebacker. So that's how I feel about it. The Eagles would beat up on the Cowboys week 1, says Blake. Jason Garrett is trash. Yes, he is.
Yeah. I think there was something in there too. It's like how it's a different team with Zeke. Obviously, that's for a different show. But come on, the NFL, I think, would rather see 2 of the 1 and 2 for the first game, in my opinion. Obviously, the Cowboys is hype, but I do think like the rest of the NFL, I think you want to see Minnesota and Eagles, 2 of the best teams in the yes, I think Zeke makes their team better, but what did he really do even when he came back from injury? They still lost. He didn't look good. There's something up, even when he came back.
I think that the Cowboys, look out for this pick. They might pick a guard in this draft.
Yeah.
First round. Because we saw what happened to their right side of their offensive line when they lost those 2 guys. Not the same.
Oh, and their defense is trash.
Well, their defense was better than the year before.
No,
I would say.
No, they lost Wilcox, Church.
Not statistically, but their pass rush was really good last year.
Oh, their pass rush was unbelievable, but I think that's just like natural progression. You have good players that are getting better, but
yeah. But I think they're not that far away defensively. I mean, like, their secondary is bad, but like I think you could add 1 or 2 players to their secondary, and they would be a pretty good defense.
Yeah.
Considering Sean Lee plays most of the season, which
yeah.
And their offense, I think their offense was actually a problem last year. We talked about it consistently. They have no receivers that get separation. Their tight end is old and slow as whatever. Their quarterback was inconsistent. Dak didn't have a great year. Their offensive line was not nearly as good, and you missed Zeke. And I think there was a lot of problems surrounding the team, like off the field. So there was a lot of things going into that. I think the Cowboys, like I said, I think they'll be better than last year. I'm not sure if they're a playoff team, but I think they will be better than last year. So we'll see. But that all depends on free agency and the draft. And it was a good first step for them to get DeMarcus Lawrence back. So Adam McIntyre says, Mitch, what do you see Bill Belichick doing in the draft? I think that Bill Belichick is going to go. A lot of people are saying corner. I mean, that sort of makes sense. I think what he's going to try and do is probably like a pass rusher or like a linebacker of some sort. I think like a guy that's in between, maybe a tweener or if one of those pass rushers falls, I could see him taking one of those guys. I could see him trading up in the draft. I actually think this could be a year where he trades up, because I don't think this draft has as good of depth. They do have 2 second-round picks, so we'll see what they do with those. But I think maybe an outside linebacker would be interesting, like a Sam Hubbard or a Lorenzo Carter or somebody like that. Maybe a pass rusher. But those would be like the 2 main positions that I would want them to upgrade, and I think that's also where Belichick will go. They could go corner, but I don't know. I think they might sign a corner instead of draft one because they haven't been overly successful with drafting corners. So I think probably signing one would be more wise, while Belichick has been pretty good with like drafting linebackers. So we'll see, but that's probably where I think he's going to go. What we got here? I don't think offensive line either will probably be drafted. I think offensive line's good as long as Nate Solder comes back. And obviously Marcus Cannon is going to be playing too. So what else we got here? I think people are talking about Barkley in here. Here we go. Dak will look a lot better with Zeke. Cowboys are a playoff team, says Kevin Durkant. Trading Solution says Barkley is nuts. He's going to be the best running back in the league by 2021. He could be the best running back in the league next year. Blake says Barkley, probably not on the Browns. Barkley is a different animal, says Blake. Adam says, watch Barkley in the biggest games. He disappears. 44 yards versus Ohio State. He won't run in between the tackles. He has bust potential. Interesting. Well, also, he needs an offensive line to operate. So, I mean, that's with every running back. AC, did you see any of that?
Of what?
Of him being a bust?
No. But no, I put him up there with, like, I think on the low end, no, I think he's right up there with Fournette. I think on the low end, I don't think he's as good as Zeke was in his rookie year, but I do think he can play well. Like, just
I don't think production-wise he's going to be as good as him.
Maybe not. No, it's depending what they do, because maybe they get that rookie. If they do get Allen too, maybe it opens it up. Like, obviously we saw how Dak looked so much better. Having
Are you not tempted to go Lamar Jackson?
Yeah, I think that would put seats in, and just start this like all-star Madden, just running
Madden beast, just start read option.
Yeah, start playing read option. That'd be pretty awesome, actually.
Hey, Lamar Jackson's better than Justin Madden. I'm just gonna say that. Le'Veon Bell is the better whole package. Who's he talking about? Is he saying
compared to, I guess,
Zeke? Yeah. But the thing about Barkley and the thing about Zeke even over Le'Veon Bell is I haven't seen Le'Veon Bell run 50 yards for a touchdown very many times. I've seen Zeke do it, and I know Barkley can do it. And that's what separates the elite and the elite. That's what separates the Adrian Petersons from the, I don't know, what's the next tier? The pretty good, the good but not Hall of Fame, Okay, next guy. Adam, coach him up.
Always.
Rashad Penny compares nicely to Barkley and runs better after contact. Penny is pretty good too. He's got a lot of good measurables as well, but I'm not putting him in the same universe as Barkley quite yet.
The Eagles got to take him. Bring back the San Diego State.
Do you really need another running back?
Bring back the San Diego. We got Pumphrey, man. We got the all-time leader, and that they were the 1-2 last year. No, we don't. If anything, no.
San Diego State. What?
Donald Pumphrey, the guy we took in the 5th round last year, who didn't play at all this year, was the NCAA's all-time leader in rushing yards. Donald Pumphrey, and his 1-2, they had a 1-2 system. He was like a speedback.
What about Marshall Faulk?
No, I think he was. Wait, let me get this again. I'm pretty sure that Pumphrey has.
Well, I just know Marshall Faulk went there, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah, no, well, I feel like, yeah, he's not as good. He didn't even play last year. But anyways, Penny was 1-2, so he was a lead back this year because the years previous he was kind of a 2-back system.
To answer Kevin Durkant's question of who would I rather have against Luke Kuechly one-on-one, no one. Luke Kuechly's going to make the tackle 99 out of 100 times. Actually, one-on-one, probably LaShawn McCoy is the best.
I thought you were going to say Dion Lewis.
Dion Lewis is up there. He is.
No, yeah. But he's what? I hope he goes to a division rival.
Yeah. Apparently, they're trying to sign him back. I also think Alvin Kamara would be in the conversation for one-on-one. Le'Veon Bell is pretty good, like making people miss. I don't know, but yeah, I'd have Barry Sanders. I'll answer your question. Speed is overrated. Everyone has their own opinion. Gurley will be around tearing up the league. Where do you rank Gurley in terms of running backs? Macy?
I think you'd have to go top 5.
Yeah. Well, rank your top 5.
I go Bell. I go maybe even higher. I go Bell. I go Bell, Elliott, Zeke, Johnson. Johnson would be higher if he played this year.
Well, you said Zeke and Elliott, so that's one guy.
No, I said Bell, Zeke, and then
David. Right?
Oh no, I said Bell, Gurley, Zeke, David. So those were 4, and then
so Gurley's second.
You'd have to put him second for what he did last year. I know maybe when you look at it, you don't, but like if he was a couple more big plays away from being the MVP, in my opinion. Look at his production. It's just
I'd rather have David Johnson and Zeke.
No, and I understand that, but I think having down years, you have to respect guys that had down. You have to respect guys that had really good years against.
You think he's better than McCoy? Take the teams out of it. Player, who would you rather have on your team?
Gurley, I guess at this point, Gurley, because McCoy's getting older.
Okay, I don't know. I guess that's a point, but like this past season, if you knew what you were going to get from both guys and you had your own team, who would you want?
I'm saying I'd have to take Gurley just because of what he did and watching.
I'm just wondering. I think McCoy is even. I know you said he's not underrated. He sort of is.
No, I'm saying it's hard to say a top 5 running back for the last 10 years is underrated. You know what I mean? Like everyone still is like, yeah, that's top 5. But it's more you're being like, you're not really, everyone wouldn't disagree with you. You'd be like, oh yeah, that guy's great. You know what I mean? It wouldn't be like a big discussion because it would be like, yeah, no, it's LaShawn McCoy. He's great.
Yeah. Who else is there? I guess Kamara.
Yeah, but can we really say Kamara is a top?
He's top
5
10
running back. Yeah, he's top 10. But can we really say he's top 5 running back now? It's like, yeah,
he's not above those 5, but he's.
But I just like people love like a little flashy and like, yeah, he's a pass catcher. Let me see him run between the tackles. Let me see him run between the tackles, man. If we're talking running back.
Did you see how many runs he had? Did you watch him, bro? Yeah. Did you watch the games?
Oh, well, I don't know. They didn't make it past. I focused more on my team because we were playing a lot longer than they were.
Oh, sorry.
And I think we had the best rookie running back.
What about Jordan Howard?
I think we had the best rookie running back on the Eagles, and he wasn't even
drunk.
He wasn't even drafted.
You're drunk again for sure.
He wasn't even drafted.
What about Howard?
Howard's great. I like Howard more than Kamara.
Howard or Fournette? Or Freeman?
I like. That's pretty close, but I like Howard's style more.
Yeah.
It's more entertaining. And I think Freeman's good, but I like
Freeman's all-around game.
For sure. But I just like Howard seems like so nonchalant. Like he just seems so nonchalant when he plays. Like Freeman seems like he's got so much going on, which is great. But I feel like Howard plays like more in control. Just when you watch him run, I think it's more entertaining than those other guys.
All right. Okay. Anything else that we need to talk about?
No, we should talk about at the end of the show. We should talk about Ronald Jones, our local hero.
Let's talk about Dilly Vanilli's favorite guy ever, man crush, boyfriend, Ronald Jones. What do you got to say?
No, he was injured, and I know it's just because Dylan had him as the second best running back, which it's tough because I think Geis is just as good, and we saw Chubb from Georgia, Michael from Georgia have good combines, especially Chubb from Georgia had a really good combine. Yes, he pulled up being injured. He can't catch the ball. Like, you don't see him out of the backfield, and he's not really.
Are you talking about Ronald Jones?
I'm talking about Ronald Jones. Like, he's not a pass catching back, which is tough. He's not an all round back. And he's somewhat like undersized.
He's 5'11", 200 pounds.
Yeah, but he's undersized, but he can't catch the ball. You know what I mean? Like, he's not a speed back. That's what's
comparable to Jamal Charles, that's according to NFL.com.
Yeah, but maybe Jamal Charles, I don't know.
Didn't Jamal Charles run like a 4.2?
Yeah, but didn't Jamal Charles was a pass catching back too? Or was that just because of was that just because of the situation? Like, was that because of the team he went
to? Well, okay. Jamal Charles isn't like Jamal Charles isn't like James White. Like, he can't like play receiver, but like he could like catch the screens and the short passes. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, Jamal Charles could certainly catch the ball. But like the difference here is, why are you? I'm just going off their comparable here. Why are you comparing this guy to Jamal Charles when Jamal Charles ran like a 4.2?
Yeah. Well, because maybe he can run up fast, but because he did pull up. All I'm saying is I think him being injured at the combine hurt him because, like we said before, yeah, your pro day, hopefully you're all right, but you're not going to have all the eyes you have on. And plus, people wanted to see him run those receiver routes because they haven't really seen him on tape. They can't really see that. So
I think a lot of people think he's sort of the Alvin Kamara, even though, like you said, Alvin Kamara is like a pass catcher, though.
No, but I don't even think people are thinking that. I think and he probably goes the same place as, like, Geis is gonna for sure be the next running back off the board, in my opinion.
Penny too.
Even Michael, Penny, there's and even Chubb now it's looking like. So Jones will still be high, but I don't think he's like a middle second round pick, in my opinion now.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's about it. And the Eagles, we have the last pick, and then we don't even have a second or a third round pick.
So you're trading Foles. It's confirmed.
No, and we have 2 4s and 2 5s, though, which is nice.
Give us a percentage. Percentage Foles is traded.
70.
Wow.
65.
That's high. Why?
Because we need that $7 million off the cap to be able to mess around with. I think we do like Sudfeld, and it's just I don't think we would keep him after this past year anyways. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough because of what he did, and he's always going to be the biggest homie in Philadelphia, but it's just, we have a younger guy and we're kind of cash strapped, and we could use, if we're confident in Sudfeld not being Foles, but, confident in our offense and our coaching staff, like we were with.
But I also, I know you want the plan in place, but I also think you can't think that Carson Wentz is going to get hurt again. Like, you just...
I didn't want to say that.
Yeah, like you can't.
Yes, I think that's what a lot of people are believing as well.
You can't just expect it to happen.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
True. No, and I do agree. So that's why I do think they get it done, because not having a second or a third, and I think if you can get any sort of second right now, do I think maybe they should accept that Buffalo? But I think that Buffalo could be on the table moving forward as well. We'll see. But we can't afford to pay our backup $7 million when we're $10 million over the cap.
All right. Last
and we
question.
need Nigel Bradham back and LeGarrette Blount.
I don't think Bradham's
Let's
coming
go.
back.
Oh, yeah, he's coming back. He's not an expensive player.
Yeah, I think he's going to get more money than you think.
But as a linebacker, he maybe might get 10, but I think he's more in like the 5-6 range.
All right. Okay, last thing I'll say to Kevin Durcan, he says prime Devin Hester was the fastest player in the NFL. I'll say this. I would go with Deion Sanders and Randy Moss would be my 2 top fastest players. Yeah. AC, you want to throw another name in there?
I'll go What was the guy? What was the X Factor? Hall? What was his first name? Not D'Angelo.
Dante.
Dante Hall. Man.
What about Deshaun?
Sean Jackson? Yeah, I think he was more quick than fast. Obviously, he's fast.
Didn't they race like him, Chris Johnson, and like someone else, and he won?
No, he's super fast. I'm saying on the field, like watching the X Factor Hall was, and that's way back in the day.
That's true. I would say Randy Moss or Dion. Randy would just he didn't look as fast because his strides were so long, but it's just ridiculous. All right, guys. It's Mitch, AC. Hope you guys enjoyed this NFL Combine recap, reactions, all that. If you have any extra questions, make sure to leave them in the comments below, and I'll get back to them as soon as possible. Make sure you check out our latest NFL draft scouting reports and all that. Dylan broke down the quarterbacks. He has running backs coming tomorrow, so we'll see what he thinks about Ronald Jones now. I have linebackers coming up on Wednesday, and I already did D-line. He did quarterbacks, and I did a quarterback comparison. So go check those videos out. AC?
This will be a test. Odds are he's still number 2.
Odds are he moved him up to 1.
No, but even just realistically, odds are he's 2 still.
Yeah.
If he isn't, I'd be surprised. I'd be very proud of Dylan if he's at 3 or 4.
Okay. AC, are we getting mock drafts from you?
I don't think so. Well, we'll see. Well, you know what? I think actually I'll throw it out there that we should do a live mock draft with all 3 of us. And obviously have them beforehand.
I would like to do it.
Go through that, or we do the thing where NFL Network does. Each guy, every guy has a pick, so it goes like I'll pick for the Browns, you pick for the Giants, Dylan, and then you just go like the NFL Network does with like 10 people. I think that's interesting.
Yeah, we could do that. I would like to figure out a way where we could do it, and then we could have like graphics come out on the screen and stuff. Like that'd be interesting. Anyways, it's Mitch, AC. Peace out.